and welcome everyone to Season 3, Episode 2 of the Shadow Collective podcast. How's it going, guys? I'm here, as always, with my friends Andy Beads, Swampgrass.
Beep boop, beep, beep boop boop. Beep beep boop boop.
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
Swamp, what did I say? Beep boop boop boop. He has his translator out.
All right, then.
Swamp, can you hear me?
You there, Swamp?
Yes, hello.
All right, there we go. All right, so here we are. Here we are, ready to go again for another episode. I'm going to do one thing a little differently this time around, though. And I'm going to before we even get started, I'm going to say, if you like what you're seeing right now, check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. Definitely like and subscribe to both. Give us some comments. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, so that we can keep this going. We're happy to see you all here.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. That being said, let's get into it. I mean, there's quite a bit that's happened in the past couple weeks.
Indeed.
I'm gonna get right into the very first story here. If I can get to it, because it would be one of our runs otherwise.
Do you want me to read it? I got it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do it because I'm having a little bit of trouble at the moment.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So this one's at a collider.com. Our friends from Collider. Not really our friends. Bryce Dallas Howard reveals how Jude Law changed a pivotal moment in Star Wars Skeleton Crew Episode 6. Bryce Dallas Howard returned to the galaxy, to a galaxy far, far away, with the most recent installment of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Episode 6, entitled Zero Friends Again, marked her 5th time directing for the franchise after making her debut during Season 1 of The Mandalorian. She went on to direct 2 more episodes for the series alongside an episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and every time she returns, fans know they are in for a treat. I'm pretty sure we were excited about her directing that too, I think, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. The 6th episode of the series, penned by Mune Joe Wesner, proved to be a beautifully poignant one. Poignant? Did I say that right?
Poignant.
Poignant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As the core 4, Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB looked for a way off of La Nupa by way of a trash compactor, Fern found herself at odds with her best friend KB for the first time, as KB struggled with how to talk to Fern about her physical differences and how they impacted her ability to keep up with their adventure. After betraying the children in Episode 5, Jod's victory is short-lived as his former crew hauls him back to Brutus to face punishment for his crimes. At the end of last week, so this is the interviewer saying that they had the opportunity to chat with Bryce Dallas Howard about directing for Skeleton Crew, what it was like working with the series' incredibly talented young cast, how Jude Law transformed the scene on the pirate ship into a true pirate's tale, and what it was like working with Tippett Studio to bring to life the awe-inspiring Mama Crab stop-motion animation creature. I didn't know that was a stop-motion creature. Did you guys?
I did not.
Was not aware.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
it's
cool,
pretty
though.
neat. Yeah. So let's see here. Oh, this is an actual interview. Okay. That's a long interview. Okay. Let's see here. So, do we want to read this whole thing? This is long, guys.
I would just say if we can get the main points out of it, that'd be probably the best way to go.
All right. Let's see here. All right, well, I'll just start reading it then. So Collider. I knew I was going to like the show, but I didn't realize how much I was going to love it. And this is Bryce Dallas Howard. Oh, that's wonderful. I love hearing that. At first they sold it as a Goonies thing, which is what we all thought it was kind of going to be like. And Goonies was never a thing for me. I wasn't a Goonies girl, but as soon as I realized it's really Peter Pan, like it's Captain Hook and the Lost Boys and Wendy, I was like, okay, now they've got me. I didn't really think it that way. Peter Pan?
Yeah, with the Smee, you know.
With the Shmee. I mean, the only thing was Smee, yeah, but I didn't really think of Peter Pan, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that either.
Yeah. I mean, Lost Kids, I guess. Whoever Wendy, you know. So you're totally right. It really, really, really is. Oh, that makes me so happy. I don't know. That's kind of weird to read this guy, to be honest.
Yeah. What about okay? So there's a part further down.
If you guys read it, yeah, go through it.
I
haven't really done it.
Part where Jude Law. What was the headline again?
Oh yeah, Jude Law made it kind of a true
change
the scene,
episode.
pivotal moment.
Down, it says we could thank Jude Law for Jod's Shanty and Skeleton Crew. So we can thank Jude Law for Jod's Shanty. Okay. I think that's probably what the headline is referring to, I suppose.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the other scene. So the scene that was very memorable from this episode, I think, not exaggerating, it's landed among their top 10 Star Wars scenes. Is the "I'm hungry" scene on the pirate ship. There's so much going on, and it's not just the script that's fantastic or Jod's performance. It's the direction, too, because there are so many little things, so many little looks, so many little components. There's so much stuff going on. It almost feels like dance, almost like it's got choreography to it. I just loved that moment. It's very Dickensian. To the script and talk. Yeah. I don't even know what that is. Do you guys know what that is?
Like related to
I would assume like Charles Dickens, yeah.
Charles Dickens.
Oh, Dickens. Yeah. Okay. My background is their background is in anthropology. So anytime you start talking about the socio-economic factors that are making these characters react the way they are, chef's kiss. Mwah. I want to know about crafting that scene and blocking that scene. Because it's just so good. And the shanty, it's just got everything. So thank you. Jude Law came up with the shanty himself. It was just supposed to be lines. And they say, I love that. Tack Renaud's sword, away, away. It was just supposed to be a poem. And Jude came in and he was like, what do you think if it was a shanty? Because that's kind of what pirates do, and that's how the lore carries on. And they were like, yes, please. We would like that very much, Jude Law. I'm so glad you love that scene because it was an absolutely joy to stage. Jude Law, world-class actor, one of the greats. Absolutely. So Jude Law is going to do this. What is he like? Well, get ready. You're about to die and go to director heaven. So I guess she loved directing Jude Law.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That's pretty,
that he turned it into a song. That's pretty awesome. A shanty.
Yeah, I don't know. What else, guys? Do you want to keep reading that one, or do you want to?
Yeah, that's about it for that one.
That's about it for that. Like, there's also the what else? They talked about the crab, the stop motion thing. So when I look at the picture right now, I can kind of tell now that it looks kind of stop motion, just the way that it kind of looks. But when you're watching it, I had no idea that it was stop motion. You like in the moment, you're like, I have no idea. I didn't even know. Like, that's crazy.
And it's funny because you wouldn't expect them to use that these days, considering what the technology is out there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy to just use CGI all the time.
Well, it would have been like I wonder. I guess it goes through kind of the cameras that they used, and I'm not sure. Does it say how long? I wonder how long. Does it say in here how long it took them to shoot that thing? I don't know if you guys skimmed through it or not, but
I can't say I saw that, but I'm sure. I mean, being stop motion, it had to take a share of time. So
well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see it in the content of this article, anyways.
Yeah. But anyways, that's a cool feature. I mean, to me, like practical stuff, I've always loved that kind of stuff. So, to me, that's pretty cool to find out after the fact. I kind of want to go back and see if I can actually point it out. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like, again, like I couldn't really. I guess there was a lot going on too, right? But
yeah.
But I think I might go back and take a look.
All right, I found an answer here on how long it took. It says each motion shot of the crab puppet in the Star Wars series Skeleton Crew took 2 weeks to complete. So
Wow.
I don't know how many scenes it's in, but
that's insane considering. I mean, you think about it, if each little bit took 2 weeks to do now. Imagine how much time it took to do back then when they were, say, making The Empire Strikes Back and there was tons of stop motion that had to be done. I mean, it says a lot for how far you would think we've come when it comes to something like that. Again, we obviously have CGI. You can make it a lot easier on yourself, but it probably doesn't look as good as the stop motion does either. So
the cool thing with this too, they're talking about how when they used the stop motion, so they did all the stop motion stuff, but then they put it in the volume, and then they actually had like the scale of the crab.
oh yeah.
So the kids actually had something to look at when they were actually. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Instead of having like an actor like standing tall on like sticks and like CG stuff, like this is the crab. This is the crab. This is the crab. Look at me. Yeah,
I'm a crab.
I'm a crab. Snap, snap. Roar. But yeah, no, that's neat. Like that's a cool feature. I didn't really think of that with the volume, right? I always thought the volume was just kind of like a, used for the background and scenery and stuff like that, right? But or lighting and all that. But that
it makes sense to
utilize that for that too.
The
yeah,
direction of the acting for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Should we move along?
I guess so. I mean, like it's kind of hard to like read like an interview from people. You know what I mean? It's kind of kind of a weird way. Like
I think we pulled
third
out
person,
of
but
some useful news stuff that we didn't know.
We kind of pulled out what we needed to. Yeah, I think so. I think everybody got it. I guess.
Yeah. All right. I'll pop into the
You got
next
the next
story
one?
here.
Yep.
It's really just an announcement on Twitter or X, whatever you call it these days. But it does come from Daniel Richtman, who is becoming a little bit more of a reliable source for us. I mean, if it's not the Inch Schneider, it's usually this guy who's coming out with the big news. So I kind of, I don't know if I would say like this guy is like the know it all, be it all source, but I tend to believe him a little more often than not lately.
Mm.
But he came out about a week ago with news that Lucasfilm was reportedly developing a new Star Wars show set during the Knights of the Old Republic era. That's really all it says. I mean, once again, as things go with us, I mean, obviously, I'll believe it when I see actual production.
Yeah.
But that being said,
It is in the rumor mill.
it is in the rumor mill, and
along with everything else.
I would also, I mean, from my own personal viewpoint, I would say about damn time. Because, I mean, it's one of, outside of the era that we all know, that we've all seen, that we've gotten our shows and our movies from, you go into the video game era of Star Wars, and this is a huge, they've really done this big. I mean, between the two games, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, they came out with an MMO that's still going to this day, The Old Republic, and there's so much there you could pull off of. So many amazing characters. There's just a lot you could work with. And obviously, if you're going to have something in the Knights of the Old Republic era, if it doesn't involve the name Darth Revan, I'm going to sit there and say, what the hell are you doing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Revan, whether they start with like the Jedi arc into Darth Revan or whatever, absolutely has to be a part of this. It's easily one of the most beloved Star Wars characters of all time, for sure.
I mean,
So
go ahead.
Be a huge
if we're thinking Darth Revan, so would you guys be on board with Keanu Reeves doing it?
I mean, it's weird because so many people now have kind of put his face to that name. It's almost uncanny.
Well, this is how Rosario Dawson got Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, but it's the other funny part of it is, even if you go into Star Wars: The Old Republic, now I played that for years. I love that game to death. I don't really play it anymore, but I mean, I have some fond memories of the game. They had an arc where they went back and they brought back Revan. And when he took the mask off, you could almost say he looks like Keanu Reeves in the game. So it's almost like they're kind of just trying to will this to be. So, I mean, I think a couple weeks ago we were also talking about them trying to get Keanu Reeves into the Acolyte. It's another reason I'm happy that he's not there. Because if this show happens, this is really where he needs to be.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think we do also have an article that came out later that mentions this as well, too.
okay.
Yeah, this would be huge, I think, if especially with the following that the Knights of the Old Republic era has with the games, like you said, like I think it was done right and well, and has the right people writing the show, and they could also, like you said, I think too, like if they're planning to do the beginning of the before the beginning, like, or the beginning of the Jedi, whatever the James Mangold stuff is, right? I think that's the beginning of everything.
Right.
We could kind of lead that into a show like that too, right? Like it could eventually fit into that or whatever, but even standalone, I think people would just be all right with that too, right? So, but it has potential, but like you said, until there's actual footage, yeah. Let's not get all excited here.
Okay, I want to hear footage. I want to hear we're actually casting people into some of these roles. I mean, I would love to see who they would get to play some of these roles, to be honest with you, if they do it. But yeah, I think that'll cover pretty much what I want to say on the issue for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a lot. It's just, it's in the back of your mind, you're excited, right? But in the forefront, you're like, well, we've been disappointed so many times with announcements, right? You don't want to get your hopes up.
Exactly.
So we'll wait and see.
Right. Moving on from there, because I mean, again, it's not a huge story, but it's definitely a notable story.
Right.
I'll cover this one as well since it's also short. Also announced out of Twitter /X via the Star Wars Holocron. They also announced that Rory McCann, who most people would know as the Hound from Game of Thrones, is going to be taking over the role of Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka season 2 for the late Ray Stevenson. Now, the source for this is our good friend, the Ian Schneider. So,
our good buddy that we have speed dial on speed dial, right?
If I could, I would.
Yeah, right.
But definitely, if it's coming from him, I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, this has also been announced just about everywhere by now.
It's been confirmed, right? It's not a rumor. This is confirmed that it's happening.
Yes.
So I mean, definitely happy to hear it. I know
definitely clears up what we were wondering, right? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to kill off the character? Are they going to, make him take a different form that's not so human or whatever? And yeah, now we know.
Yeah. I know from some sources I've read, they've also said that apparently Rory McCann and Ray Stevenson were very close friends, and because of that, Rory McCann is determined to do this right for his friend. And if that's the case, then I'm excited for him to take the role because I know he's not going to just go in there and phone this one in. He's going to go out there and really try to do it right. And the one thing I've said through this whole thing, even if he ends up being a bad Baylan Skoll at the end of the day, he was the Hound in Game of Thrones. One thing we'll be sure of is that any swordplay is going to be amazing.
Yeah, right. I think he's already got a little bit of training.
Yeah, if he can't get that part right, then I don't know what to say anymore. So, but you guys, thoughts?
Yeah, I think he'll do a good job. Like, it's a very stoic character that doesn't talk a whole lot. He's more makes a point of each thing that he says, makes it powerful. So I think this is a good choice for that character.
And he did it so well as the Hound, so we know he can get it across.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely not an actor that was on our radar though when we were kind of discussing back a couple, last year, whatever episode we were discussing this on.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a, like, when they posted, I was like, that's a pretty good choice, actually. Like,
and it's funny. It's funny because.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go
ahead.
No,
go right ahead.
I was gonna say I was thinking about that when we were talking about the Revan thing. Like it's been so long that we've been talking about Keanu Reeves in that
Yeah.
role that he's getting a little older. By now, there's probably a lot of people that maybe suit the role a little bit better. Maybe.
Or maybe he's an older Revan. Like,
Yeah,
he might be
Yeah.
an old guy.
You never know. And I mean, I think if Keanu Reeves is timeless at this point, so
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I don't think he'll be a problem at that role. But it's funny.
As long as they don't keep waiting too long, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even going back to Ray Stevenson and Rory McCann here, the funny part is when we went back and we were talking about people that could take over that role. We even looked at people from Game of Thrones, and
we passed right over him.
Yeah, and he's the one we never came up with. It's like, wow, I'm surprised. But then again, I think a big part of that is you look at the Hound and you see his face.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The prosthetics on his face was probably why we looked over him.
Yeah, it's like I've not. It's not to put him down or anything, but I've never seen him any other way. So now, even to look at the picture here of him, it's like, who the hell's this guy? Oh, wait, that's the Hound? Okay. Maybe he can pull it off. So, I don't know. But yeah, it's like, I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Anything else you guys want to throw in about this one, or?
No, that's about it. We did mention that it was confirmed by Snyder, so that's kind of the only reason that other article's in there. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to the next story then. I'll take this one, Swampgrass, or?
Yeah. Does this one actually have a story? Because I think it's a YouTube video, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know there's a story down there somewhere. Trying to think about. Give me 1 second. I'll put something up here. I didn't realize we were using that as a reference.
And the next one is also a YouTube
I didn't
clip
think
as
about
well.
that when I added that in here. I just kind of seen the link and then I added it. But now that I'm looking at it, I think it's just the YouTube video. But Star Wars movie to shoot this year, says report. So, yeah, I don't even know. It doesn't really.
Who
reported it on here?
I do have one here. Actually, this is from October, but there is one out of Variety from about a week ago. Talking about James Mangold, who we were going to talk about anyway. I'm going to put the link into chat so that people can go look at it themselves if they want to look at it while we go through. Oop, hold on. There it is.
Yeah, I think the next one is also a YouTube video. Both of those I kind of threw them in there, not realizing.
Yeah, I might have found one for the next one here. Just
okay.
But
we'll just.
But this also adds a little bit more to that story because a little bit more came out afterwards, and it does kind of lead to a little bit more of what we need to talk about when it comes to James Mangold anyway. So, do you want me to cover it, Swamp, or do you want to take the story?
I could take it if you hook me up with the link.
It's in the chat.
Chat. Oh, gotcha.
Chickadee.
All right. James Mangold's Star Wars movie set 25,000 years before The Phantom Menace. So it's not handcuffed by lore, and you can't please anyone or anybody, apparently. Anyways, hold on a sec. James Mangold, who just picked up Directors Guild of America nomination for a complete unknown recently told MovieWeb that his upcoming Star Wars movie is deliberately set thousands of years before any other movie in a long-running franchise so that he doesn't have to deal with the canon and can thus avoid angering fans. Mangold's Star Wars movie was originally announced in April 2023. The Star Wars movie would be taking place 25,000 years before any known Star Wars movie takes place, the director told MovieWeb. It's an area and a playground that I've always wanted to explore and that I was inspired by as a teenager. I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that it's almost immovable and you can't please anybody. Mangold told IO9 last year that his involvement in a Star Wars movie was revealed, that his project would center on the origins of the Force and how it was understood, wielded, and harnessed, with a vibe similar to biblical epics such as the Ten Commandments. He said then that he was not interested in holding so much lore in the air that you can hardly tell a story. Lucasfilm has not provided any updates on Mangold's Star Wars movie outside of his involvement behind the camera, while Mangold is an Oscar contender this year for helming the Bob Dylan biographical drama. He is no stranger to major Hollywood franchises as the director behind The Wolverine, Logan, and Indiana Jones and The Dial of Destiny. Mangold spoke to Variety in 2023 ahead of the release of the fifth Indiana Jones adventure and said bluntly that he was not interested in crafting any spin-offs from the movie because the amount of lore and Easter eggs and fan service starts to become antithetical to any of this stuff at a certain point. It isn't storytelling anymore, it's large-scale advertising. In an interview with Rolling Stone last year, Mangold suggested he wouldn't join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, mainly because it's so weighted down by lore and canon these days. It's weird that I've even worked in and would work in the world of IP entertainment because I don't like multi-movie universe building. Mangold said at the time, it's the enemy of storytelling, the death of storytelling. It's more interesting to people the way the Legos connect than the way the story works in front of us. For me, the goal becomes always, what is unique about this film and these characters? Mangold continued, not making you think about some other movie or some Easter egg or something else, which is all an intellectual act, not an emotional act. You want the movie to work on an emotional level. Does not have a release date. Yeah, that's all it says. So this one doesn't particularly say that what was the thing? That it's filming or starting filming next year, but we do have that as the content of that other YouTube video as well.
I'll let you touch on it first, Andy.
I think the big thing for me, like it's 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 fresh. He's got a fresh new palette to start everything off with. There's nothing really that he has to like run by, or maybe very minimally he has to run by the high ups to begin this movie, or to write this movie, or to shoot it. So I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be I don't know, I'm excited to an extent. I mean, again, like, until things get going, you can't really get too excited, I guess. But I mean, I like the fact that it's going to be fresh and there's no Easter eggs or no lore that he has to kind of deal with. So I don't know.
I mean, I think there's two things I want to go at here. Number one, of course, you're 25,000 years before anything going on in the Star Wars universe. So you're in a position where you get to set the lore more than actually become beholden to it. So, for the most part, I don't really even understand why this is necessary. Because, and I'm sure it's why he took the role why he took this in the first place. Because if you get a chance to be in that position where you don't have to sit there and worry about everything else going on, unless you're intending to add something in that's gonna mess everything up along the way, even 25,000 years later.
Right.
I don't see an issue. But the other thing I really want to hit on is the point that you say you can't please anybody and you don't want to be handcuffed, that it's immovable, that you can't make people happy. I'm sorry, this is Star Wars. It's half of the game as well. I mean, people here have seen it. You make good Star Wars, they'll love you forever. You make bad Star Wars, people aren't going to be happy. So, I mean, I'm more worried about you sitting here and popping down a good story. I'm not so worried about, I mean, obviously, if there's things that need to be held to canon, then yeah, they need to be held to canon. But you have a long leash to play with. I mean, it's not like people who are writing The Mandalorian right now, like Favreau, who has to be on a fairly short leash, because there's many things he could do that could mess up the story, that could force retcons. People who are doing things during the period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, those people are beholden to some serious lore, because you can change a lot of stuff if you do it wrong. You got an open slate. Just be happy you got it. Enjoy it. Make something amazing and just make us love it. That's all we care. and you know what? If you make it great and we love it, hey, I feel bad for the person who's gonna have to do the Knights of the Old Republic series, because now you're gonna probably have some stuff that you're gonna have to hold to because James Mangold made it.
Or maybe James Mangold just gets attached to the Knights of the Old Republic stuff. If this early stuff goes right.
Yeah, if he wants to continue it and he's done a great job, I'm not going to say no. he's a great writer, a great movie maker. So, sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not a big fan of that, but yeah, you never know. Things could change.
I mean, like,
one thing though is like, although you're not really held to lore, we definitely want to see a lightsaber, right? Like first lightsaber.
Actually, right? You don't even really have to add a lightsaber. I mean,
I disagree.
well, my thing is, it could start with swords before they realize how to even create a lightsaber, before they even understand kyber crystals and how they work, and going on from there. Hell, this could work into a second movie where suddenly they learn how to make a lightsaber, and that becomes part of it. Given Mangold probably won't be making it because Mangold doesn't want to be held to all of this extra lore, but I mean, there's a lot of room to play with there.
Yeah, it's true.
It almost feels like they're gonna create a movie and just throw the Star Wars name on it, and like I a part of me is going, how are they going to make this kind of feel like, I mean, other than space stuff, but I mean, if you don't know what Star Wars, it could just be a sci-fi thing, but I mean, 25,000 years before anything, like it's quite the jump. It's quite the distance back. So I mean, hopefully there's some connections that they put in place to kind of like, connect it with Star Wars, but
yeah. But yeah, what if it's just another like Lord of the Rings ripoff and they call it Lord of the Force?
God, I hope not. But but I mean, speaking
One
of
ring to rule them all. Wait, what?
yeah.
Yeah. Suddenly we're watching the origin of Spaceballs or something.
Suddenly it doesn't sound so original anymore.
but yeah, I mean, more than anything, you get to play at the origin of the Force. I mean, it's a story I want to watch it. I mean, it's something I would be there that day that the first day it was released to go see. I mean, I'm just the thought of this movie. I'm excited for it already, and it's not even written yet. Well, right. it probably is written because they're starting to shoot it this year, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much there, so many possibilities. So,
yep. But again,
I'm definitely more excited about this than Ray movies.
Oh, the original Force, absolutely. I mean, that over a continuation of a story that most people weren't overly excited for to begin with. Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, it doesn't mean that a Ray movie will be bad. It just means they've got to figure that out, and they've got to sit there and they've got to figure out how to write that well and make that good. This has a lot less handcuffing, so to speak. That's pretty. I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again now. So,
yeah, it is that. So I mean, but again, we'll see what happens. I mean, again, we'll stick to the. I mean, we know what's happening, but I guess we'll find out more stuff as hopefully we get a little bit of a scoop for during Celebration.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping we'll get some information. Hopefully, I'm hoping he'll be there to at least say, "Hey, things are moving along well, and we're doing well."
Yeah, I just don't want them like. I want them to kind of like not go in depth of the movies, obviously, but tell us a little bit more of the ones that they've already announced, rather than coming into Celebration and going, "Oh, we got another handful of stuff we're going to be releasing in the next yada yada." Right? Like
that we may or may not have.
Yeah, just tell us the stuff that we already are expecting. Don't release these ones that are like, "Oh yeah, here's some potential directors and writers that are going to be doing stuff in the next couple 3-4 years."
Yeah, give us actual progress reports and we'll be happy.
Give us some information about the stuff you've told us already. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And then I'll be a little bit more excited. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the next story. You want me to take this one? Or you want to take it, or I know you did the first one, so
I'll find. So I posted the clip in our Discord here. So this is basically. So it's kind of the same thing. So the one that we had here was Jod might have been a Jedi in the Clone Wars. But I mean, do we want to? I don't know. We want to do all the stuff first and then go to the skeleton. Like, this is after This is in episode 8, right? So
yeah, maybe we move on, come back to this.
True. Did I ever tell you guys I have a song for his name?
no.
Jod Nana Wood. Jod Na Wood. It's a good song. Every time they say it, it just comes out of my head. Jod Nana Wood.
Jod Nana
Wood. What?
Jod Nana Wood. Jod Nana Wood.
We gotta get to work on that one. I'll have to sit there and use that to segue into things there.
Yeah, you know what? I'll whip something up on my end with stuff. Just have some chants and some no
soon.
little drum in the back, you're good to go.
do. Yeah. All right, so I guess I'll read the next one then. And we'll come back to that Nana Wood one. All right. So this one is kind of a big one for me. Comicbookmovie.com. Rumor has it that Ewan McGregor will reportedly reprise his iconic role as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Ahsoka Season 2.
Yes.
Huge.
It's huge. And it kind of came around the same time when they announced Rory McCann taking over Baylan Skoll too. It's kind of like back-to-back stories almost.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, we learned that Game of Thrones star Rory McCann will be taking over the late Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka Season 2. The cast is starting to come together. Then work on the Star Wars TV series must now be well underway. The first batch of episodes ended on a huge cliffhanger with Grand Admiral Thrawn return to the main galaxy and closed in on Dathomir alongside with the Great Mothers. Ezra Bridger, meanwhile, reunited with Hera Syndulla, though Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren were left stranded in Peridea with no way home. However, the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker was shown watching over them in the finale's closing moments, the first time we've seen the Jedi turned Sith turned Jedi in that form since the Return of the Jedi. It probably won't surprise you that according to Christian Harloff, Hayden Christensen is expected to play a pretty big role in Ahsoka Season 2. The Insider also reveals that Ariana Greenblatt will return as the young Ahsoka, but the biggest news is Ewan McGregor will reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. While a Force Ghost appearance is possible, Greenblatt's presence suggests we're getting even more flashbacks to the events of the Clone Wars. Remember, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka encountered the Mortis gods in that animated series, so showrunner Dave Filoni recreating that here makes perfect sense. After all, many of the fans tuning into Ahsoka won't necessarily be familiar with the animated adventures that played out in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. With the events of those shows so key to this story, Filoni must find a way to ensure his deep dive into franchise lore makes sense for everyone. Talking at the Star Wars Skeleton Crew premiere at Disneyland last month, Filoni shared an exciting update about how work is progressing in Season 2 of Ahsoka. So well into that as well. I've been writing it, and I'm still the single writer on it, which to me is still baffling. Like, he's just the only writer that's writing this. And so I've been enjoying doing that, but it's a challenge, of course, and working some of these arcs through has been a challenge of making sure it's all going to come out in a way that I think is exciting for fans. I know that they're interested in where some of the things I developed in Season 1. I'm pretty happy with it. I love working with Rosario, so I can't wait to get back to that. Star Wars Celebration takes place in Japan this April, and we're expecting new details about both Ahsoka 2 and the Mandalorian and Grogu to be shared during the event. And there's a video and such. But man, like, I like the idea, like, and I mean that's a pretty big possibility that we're gonna get more flashbacks. Yeah, I don't see the Force Ghost thing. I think it's gonna be, we're gonna see more of that Clone Wars era stuff. I mean, you know, maybe bring back, maybe we see Commander Cody this time because, you know, they're gonna have Obi-Wan in there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, also like it says in this article, like the greater Star Wars community, a lot of people don't really know about the Mortis arc and what that means, and who those, the son, the father, or the father, son, and the daughter, what all that means in relation to the, you know, balance of the Force and stuff. So that's something that can be played on pretty awesomely if they do it right in you know, flashback form. I think it could be really really exciting to see that for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
And then, if you guys recall, also the father tells Anakin he's supposed to replace him as the, you know, the keeper of the balance of the Force. So you never know. And Anakin is there with them. Stuff could happen.
Like, I'm expecting with this, so I feel like they're going to keep it as a rumor until Star Wars Celebration, and then they bring out Ewan on stage during the kind of like a little thing that they might do with Ahsoka season 2 or the Ahsoka stage or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to have something for Ahsoka. I think that would be a pretty cool announcement live to bring him on the show.
I mean,
I hope that young Ahsoka actress has been practicing.
Practicing what?
Sounded like Ahsoka.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Did you guys think she did a awesome job? I don't know.
I thought she was all right. I mean, I think there's only so much you can come to expect. I mean, I think she looked the role, so that wasn't a problem. But if you ask me if I expected her to sound exactly like Ashley Eckstein, no, I didn't expect that. So, I mean, I'm okay with what I saw.
I'm just saying, if like you're bringing her back, like based on what, right? That's what I'm saying. So like, hopefully she, you know, like I said, hopefully she's been working on it.
I mean, to start out for me, I would say the fact that this is coming from, as we continue to talk about sources that we trust, if it's coming out of a guy like Christian Harloff, who, like I said, is a person I remember watching when Collider was doing Jedi Council, and I remember I would watch that religiously every week to get Star Wars news and know what was going on in the world. Yeah. I hold a little bit of credence to that. So the fact that this is a rumor, I think there's probably something to it. I think this is probably a real thing. But like you said, I could see them leaving this in the stage of rumor until Celebration. For me, the one thing I would like to see, if anything, don't just bring Ewan McGregor out. Bring him out in the Clone Wars outfit.
Oh, you definitely know he's like, if they're doing a Clone Wars like flashback, then definitely,
yeah,
like, absolutely,
just let him,
amazing.
Let him come out in that costume. The place will erupt.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I would love to see him, and that is the one thing I would be most excited to see is him in that armor. Because we've never seen it. And I think they did a great job with Hayden in that armor.
Yeah.
Armor looked awesome.
Imagine at Celebration he comes out in the armor. Like, imagine that. Oh man, it is so cool.
Yeah, I think I said the place would erupt. It would just it'd be madness. that being said, I don't know how I feel necessarily about Clone Wars flashbacks, like battle flashbacks or anything. I tend to wonder where they would go, but having them do Mortis flashbacks, absolutely.
Well, I think that's where Filoni's kind of leading it. I would imagine. Like, I don't per se think they're going to do they're like repeat, kind of reuse what they did in season 1 with, in the battlefield or whatever it is. It's different, obviously, but even so, even if he's with the Mortis gods or whatever it is, like, or if they're in that whole whatever, he'll still be dressed in his Clone Wars stuff, like it's Clone Wars era stuff, right? So,
and I agree with you. I have a hard time seeing the Force Ghost situation, only because we've become so used to, when it comes to his Force Ghost, we're so used to it being Alec Guinness now.
Right.
It's going to be hard to see them go back and now do it as Ewan McGregor. I just it wouldn't feel right.
It wouldn't feel right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I like I said, I look forward to seeing Mortis angles. I would love to see who they would bring in to play the father, the daughter, the son. I mean, obviously, the obvious choice of the son is going to be Sam Witwer, because he voiced it. So. He voiced it to begin with. But I would be curious to see who they would bring in for the other roles. Outside of that, yeah. Other than that, I'm just, I don't see how this could be a bad thing. It's great news. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love us some Kenobi. I do.
I mean, sure. I love myself like Clone Wars anything, to be honest. Like I honestly, even if they did like another battle scene and they're in it, like I would still be all right with it. It's just, I don't feel like it'd be, maybe a lot of people probably wouldn't be there. Like, be like, oh, they're reusing. Why are they doing this again? Like, yada yada, whatever. But I'm just very biased to Clone Wars, so.
Nope, totally get it. Anything else you guys want to throw in on this story?
No, not really. Just looking forward to to more news on that show as it comes out.
Right. I was just trying to find the who did the voices for the other two.
Oh yeah, for the father and the daughter.
Yeah.
I feel like, didn't something dramatic happen where like one of them died or something?
The
father, maybe? Can't remember.
Well, the daughter died.
Oh yeah, the daughter.
Because Ahsoka ended up assuming that role. Which is why she has the owl flying over all the time.
Right.
The voice of the father was Lloyd Shear. Not that it's supposed to mean anything to anybody, but that's.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is.
Lloyd Shear, yeah. Or sure.
Good old Lloyd.
Good old Lloyd. You guys know who that is, eh? Good old Lloyd. It's probably some guy they found in the back lot. Hey, do you want to do a voice?
Hey, he did a good job. That's all that's necessary.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next story. This one is also going to be out of comicbookmovie.com. This one's set around the Mandalorian Grogu, which is coming out next year. And it says, the Mandalorian Grogu's lead villain has been revealed, with Dave Filoni reprising the Clone Wars role. It says here, Mandalorian Grogu is one of Lucasfilm's most intriguing and exciting upcoming projects. The movie started life as The Mandalorian Season 4, but similar to Moana 2, Disney CEO Bob Iger decided to shift it from streaming to theaters, making this the first big screen Star Wars story since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. Screen icon Sigourney Weaver.
Sorry. I was gonna say you didn't have the picture up, but it was just a delay. Sorry, my bad.
No problem. Screen icon Sigourney Weaver has already joined the cast in a mystery role, while the Bears' Jeremy Allen White was recently tapped to play the buff Rhoda the Hutt. There's been no word on who the Mandalorian Grogu's big bad might be, though it's not outside the realm of possibility that Moff Gideon will return, especially if the version who quote-unquote died in Season 3, if you watch us and you haven't caught up to Mandalorian Season 3 by now, shame on you.
Sorry, but we're going to say it here.
If the version who died in Season 3 was indeed a clone. The Imperial Shadow Council is also set to appear, but Din Djarin's main foe is reportedly set to be the bounty hunter Embo. According to Christian Harloff, the Clone Wars baddie will be a pretty significant part of the plot, with the movie set to feature him attempting to track down and kill the kidnapped Rhoda. Din and Grogu, meanwhile, have reportedly been hired to rescue him, revealing this movie's main conflict. Harloff seems confident that Embo is the main baddie in Mandalorian Grogu, and confirms that Dave Filoni, yes, that Dave Filoni, will once again lend his voice to the villain. Without jumping to conclusions like Moana 2, it feels like this movie will be similar to Moana 2 in the sense that it's an episode of television expanded into feature format. Here's hoping there are some surprises and bigger consequences for the wider Star Wars universe. For those of you who might not know, Embo was a Kyuzo male bounty hunter who carried a bowcaster and wore a large-rimmed circular hat which he used as a weapon or a shield. Even as a capable solo hunter, he worked with several different groups throughout the Clone Wars. He's worked for the Hutt clans, battling the former Sith Lord Maul and his Shadow Collective.
Wait, I don't remember that.
Nope. Haven't seen any of that in this show before.
Nope.
He was also a member of Boba Fett's Krayt Claw, working alongside hunters such as Bosk, C-21 Highsinger, and Latz Razzi. At one point, the group was hired by Asajj Ventress to help her break out her lover Quinlan Vos from Count Dooku's castle on Sereno. He's even battled Anakin Skywalker. After the Battle of Jakku, Embo received funding from the New Republic, but when it ran out, he lived as a farmer on Felucia. It seems the chance to kill Rhoda brings him out of retirement, though there's still a lot we don't know about the Mandalorian Grogu, so time will tell how he's upgraded to big bad status. The exciting adventure in the Mandalorian Grogu's journey is currently in production and arrives in theaters on May 22nd, 2026. Thoughts?
Huh. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think Embo was even on anybody's radar as a villain, to be honest. But it's interesting, to say the least. As far as what they're saying about the movie set to feature him attempting to track down and kill the kidnapped Rhoda, and then Din and Grogu, meanwhile, having reportedly have been hired to rescue him, revealing the movie's main conflict. So it does seem like they're kind of reusing the whole Clone Wars thing again, which it's kind of. I mean, I'm not like totally disappointed about it, but I'm like, just typical Hollywood, like, you know, reusing something they've already done. Like,
yeah, I remember. I can't remember if it was last episode or whenever we heard that Rhoda the Hutt was going to be in it. We said, I hope that it's not just the same story, like rescuing him again. Like,
yeah,
and here we are. Apparently,
here we
that
are.
is the case. Apparently, yep, that's what we get. Okay.
I mean, my biggest problem with that is, I mean, here we are, and I got it. I understood it when you were a little stinky, a little baby, and obviously, um, kidnapping you isn't so hard. Hey, we gotta save you for Jabba's sake, but we're what? I'm trying to think, 30, 40 years into the future now, and after 40 years, you're still that soft that you're getting kidnapped and taken around, and
Well, it
you
says that
can't
he's
stand.
buff, so I imagine he's going to be portrayed as being strong. But
Well, I mean, but that's my other thing. It's like Jabba died. You didn't necessarily take the throne. I mean, Bib Fortuna was sitting on the throne for years after Jabba died, and now Boba Fett sits on that throne. At what point? What have you been doing all this time? I don't know.
Farming apparently. Farming on Felucia apparently.
No, that's Embo.
Oh, who were you talking about again? Sorry,
I'm talking about Rhoda.
Rhoda.
Oh, Rhoda. Oh, right.
It's like,
sorry, I spaced out.
but it's like, where are we going with this? I mean, if you're still that soft, so to speak, that we're still able to do the exact same thing to you this many years later when you're at I don't know where adulthood actually hits as far as a Hutt is concerned. Obviously, in the case of Grogu, he's over 50 and he's still a baby, so to speak.
Yeah.
But come on, man. I mean, you should be able to at least hold up a little better here. I mean, I don't really care for the rehash of that story.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't. It's not like I don't care. Like I'm gonna, obviously, we're gonna watch it, but yeah, it's not impressive.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what I mean. Not so much I don't care. It's just, I mean, we really couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, right.
The fact that you're bringing Embo back, that doesn't bother me. I mean, Embo was not really used that much in the Clone Wars. We don't know a great deal about him. So it gives us a chance to open up about his character. I mean, he's obviously older now, so I mean, if he's still going to be as effective, hey, let's have some fun watching this. I mean, I'm interested in the fact that he worked for the New Republic after the Civil War. So, I mean, there's something there. I don't think I have an issue with it being Embo. Just give me a better overall story for this movie. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned about the Embo thing. Like I'm like, it was just something that you're like, oh, Embo, that's interesting. Like it's not a bounty hunter. You're kind of like you were thinking, or a villain being in the movie, I guess. But I think it could work. I mean, it's obviously going to be old man Embo. Apparently, he retired and
Yeah.
all right, but
Dad bought Embo. Just like Boba Fett. I wonder, I imagine the dog, Cusa, is going to be also by his side. I don't know how long
if it's still alive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. I would imagine they would try to kind of appeal to the fans.
Hey, maybe there's a new dog at this point, considering,
I mean,
it's a lot of years.
Or maybe there's just a mention of the name, right? He passed away, but
yeah.
Also, cool if he was teaming up with Cad Bane, because we know he's kicking around. Or,
I mean,
somewhat have rumor, like we see that his heart monitor thing was flashing, so we know he may be kicking around.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have been more excited if they had said maybe, I don't know, like Road to the Hut had hired Embo to maybe start working towards taking back his empire from Boba Fett or something like that. And maybe the Mandalorian Grogu have to go stop that. I'd be more excited in a story like that. Maybe there's a reason that he's going after that impacts the Imperial Remnant. I don't know. I would be more excited in a story like that than just kidnap Rhoda. Not to get back on that subject, but it just popped in my head as I was going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am curious as to where the New Republic and the Remnant will play into this movie. That's one thing I am interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know they're supposed to be like going to the Outer Rim, hunting down Imperial remnants. So we imagine at least some degree the storyline should develop along that, that direction.
Plus, we don't know everybody else that's going to be in this movie yet. I mean, we know obviously about Sigourney Weaver being in the movie. We're still not 100% sure on what her role is yet, but I mean, she might have an important part in this as well. So
she could be the big bad for all we know.
Yeah, and well, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to throw in on this?
I feel like I have a feeling like she's gonna be like a female bounty hunter or something. That'd be cool. Be like Ripley the bounty hunter. I would love to see that.
give her one of those cage droids like she had in Aliens fight with.
Oh yeah.
That'd be funny.
I had to throw that in there.
Or it'd be cool too if she's like she's just a forklift operator, but the forklift is like those ones that are in Aliens, like the forklift that she's fighting with in the bay. That'd
like
be
a
awesome.
callback. Yeah, it's like a little Easter egg.
I would have an issue with it. Oh boy! All right. Let's move on to the next one. Who wants to cover the next story?
I'll grab it. I feel like it's my turn.
Okay.
All right, so Disney Plus's animated Star Wars future gets exciting update. Report. So the Bad Batch is over. So what comes next for the animated Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus? Star Wars developing new animated projects for Disney Plus. According to a post on Patreon from insider Daniel Richtman, Lucasfilms is developing 2 new animated Star Wars series for Disney Plus. Since around 2008, Star Wars has held a steady track of having flagship 3D animated series releasing new episodes every year. The Clone Wars seasons 1 through 6, October 2008 to March of 2014. Rebels from August 2014 till March of 2018. Resistance from October 2018 to January 2020. Clone Wars season 7, February 20th to May 20th, or May 2020. And Bad Batch from 2021 to 2024. So they've been pretty steady with those stories. In the wake of the Bad Batch's series finale, Star Wars has been left without a project to carry the flag, although there are still some smaller animated projects running at Disney Plus in the galaxy far, far away. Regarding the ongoing animated series, the anthology series Visions will return for season 3 in 2025 with new stories from studios worldwide, while the child-oriented young Jedi Adventures will deliver the second half of season 2. Disney Plus also released 2 6-episode anthology shorts, Tales of the Jedi in October 2022 and Tales of the Empire in May 2024. Whether Lucasfilm is developing a third Tales of the Jedi season is unclear. Wait, third? Is that right? Do we have 2 seasons?
Well, they
No.
kind of
yeah.
probably
Right.
say that the Tales of the Empire one is season 2, right? So,
Yeah. Okay. Star Wars hasn't gone a year since 2020 or 2008 without a main animated series, so it wouldn't be surprising to see one of these projects surface this year. 4 Star Wars animated series that could release next. Dave Filoni, who created the Clone Wars Rebels, Bad Batch, and Tales, is entangled in building Mandoverse on Disney Plus. Fortunately, his work on live-action Star Wars hasn't stopped Filoni from remaining involved in the animated front, and he ought to play a part in whatever comes next. The Mandoverse comes to animation. This is the first theory. Since the Bad Batch got underway in recent years, the Mandoverse has become the top focus for Star Wars on Disney Plus, with 4 live-action series already released, and its first theatrical blockbuster arriving next year. Until now, the Mandoverse has only been explored in live action, telling stories between the original and sequel trilogies. However, as Filoni played a key role in exploring the post-Return of the Jedi era and creating Star Wars animated project, a 3D animated series around that timeline could be in the cards. A lengthy animated series could help with the extra world building for the Mandoverse, perhaps centering around the New Republic, with room for characters such as Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Ezra, and more to appear. All right, theory number 2, exploring Star Wars ancient years. Daniel Richtman, who initially reported Star Wars plans for 2 new animated series, also stated on Patreon that Lucasfilm is developing a show in the Knights of the Old Republic era, thousands of years before the Skywalker era. Star Wars had trouble with its High Republic set series, The Acolyte, as its expensive budget and cost structure prevented season 2 renewal. Okay. Anyways, Lucasfilm may try to avoid the same mistake with upcoming historic projects set in the Old Republic eras by telling those tales in a cheaper animated form. And potentially cooler because there's a lot you can do with animation. But anyways, theory number 3, the Galactic Civil War continues. While the Clone Wars led to Order 66 and the start of the Galactic Civil War, Rebels and the Bad Batch explored that era as 2 vastly different groups fought back against the Empire's reign. Empire's reign. Obi-Wan introduced the Hidden Path as a group helping smuggle Jedi and Force sensitives across the galaxy before the Underground Network returned in Jedi Survivor. Read more about the upcoming Jedi 3 game. Oh, whoops. I shouldn't have read that. Okay. So anyways, potentially Jedi 3 game. Anyways, Hidden Path would open doors to many ongoing animation series and allow many familiar Jedis and other characters to appear. Tales of the Star Wars Star Wars has now released 2 6-episode seasons of animated anthology shorts, Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. Each season has 3 episodes spotlighting one character, with Ahsoka Tano, Count Dooku, Barriss Offee, and Morgan Elspeth starring in Tales. Lucasfilm may be developing further seasons of Tales, perhaps focusing on more Jedis and Empire loyal characters, or turning attention to another group in the Star Wars galaxy, such as bounty hunters or Sith. Yeah. So that is that's all the theories there. I think that hidden path idea is pretty cool because there's a lot of stuff in that realm that hasn't really been brought to film or animated or whatever.
I agree.
Yeah. Like Quinlan Voss and all that stuff too.
Well, not. Go ahead.
The hidden path for me, that's a potential to bring in like Asajj Ventress too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bring her back for a little bit, right? With Quinlan Voss and all that stuff, right? Potential to bring that stuff in there.
Well, I think not only does it give you a chance to really open up on characters like, say, Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Voss, any of the other Jedi that may have survived during that period. But the one thing I think it would do is it also gives you an opening to elaborate more on the Inquisitors as well.
Right.
I mean, because there's so many. I mean, for all the Inquisitors that we've seen, we know we haven't seen them all. So you could easily bring other Inquisitors in. You could elaborate on their stories as well. I think there's a lot you could do with this. And I think I would be all in to watch it. Just how did they get through certain areas where they shouldn't have gotten through? How did they evade Vader? Excuse me. Even if some of them eventually get caught by Vader.
Yeah, how did they get slaughtered by Vader? Is what I thought instantly when you said that.
I mean, not for nothing. It gives you an opportunity to say, "Hey, this group, we thought they were all right, but Vader caught him," and we get to see some of those savage Vader moments that we have not seen. I mean, let's see.
In comic books.
Yeah, other than comic books, I mean, what we saw in Rogue One was pretty awesome. And even what we saw in Obi-Wan when he pulled the ship down was ripping the ship apart like it was nothing. I mean, that was amazing to see. Watching him fight Reva, just how easily he fought and mopped the floor with her. I mean, just seeing him being able to go out and just sit there and 10 Jedi who are trying to escape, just watch him sit there and just rip through them. Who doesn't want to see it, even if it's just in animated form? Yeah. But
yeah.
Please.
But as far as them coming out with 2 new series, I totally believe that. For everything else that they've produced and not followed through on, the animated side of Star Wars is the one thing that they've actually followed through on every time. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that happened here. Excuse me again.
Another thing I was kind of thinking of is that Rogue Squadron project that got squashed. What if they, decided to go an animated route with that? I feel like that has potential.
It's technically still on the shelf, so
yeah.
I mean, we're still. I mean, as far as we know, Patty Jenkins is still working on that. So whether or not it's really happening, we don't know. But
yeah.
But I don't think we've gotten to the point where we have to say, "Oh, it's going to animated" yet.
Fair. That's fair.
The only thing I don't think I see them doing here is the Mandoverse.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, there's Filoni's working too hard on the live action side for us to suddenly get a animated series here.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
But I could see everything else on the table.
For me, it definitely would be the last 2, like the Hidden Path and the Tales of the, because I mean, if they did like a Tales, like to me, Tales of the Bounty Hunter stuff, have a couple one bounty hunter,
yeah,
and they focus on that for 3 episodes, and then focus on, I don't know, a Sith from a different era. You know what I mean? Like they could do like one of the older Sith, something like that. Just something cool, right?
I mean, just going back to Star Wars: Old Republic. I mean,
well, this could be your in for the Old Republic
Yeah, I mean,
as well, right? Use this as something to kind of bring people's attention to.
I mean, I think a perfect Tales of the Sith would be focus something on someone who was a current Sith. I don't know, maybe you could maybe make 3 episodes about Darth Plagueis, so to speak.
Right.
So we can get a background in him, and then take those other 3 and go back to the Old Republic for, say, like Mark Aragnos, or actually touch on Darth Bane, so we can get more of a background on him. Though I would rather see Darth Bane as a movie personally. But I just think that story is too good to just put into Tales of the Sith for me. But but yeah, there's so many bounty hunters you could touch on. I mean, God, how many bounty hunters out there do we not know anything really about? I mean, you could do one on Embo. We don't know enough about him. Bosk, how much should we know about him?
Yeah, I feel like Bosk is one of the ones that we kind of know a little more about compared to some of them, but even then, there's still so much we don't know about him. Like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can even
Dengar, same thing there too.
Yeah, Dengar. We can go into Jango Fett. I mean, how did he get his reputation? We didn't really get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the story of how he got disowned from Mandalore or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of good stories that could be told, and that's still not even talking about continuing the Tales of the Jedi. There's still tons of Jedi we could talk about. Tales of the Empire, tons of Imperial characters. We haven't even done Tales of the Alliance yet, in touching some of those characters, possibly. I mean, there's so many places you can go with this.
Tales of the Mods, right?
Tales of the Vespas. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the new crown jewel of the Disney Plus.
Well, I remember too, a long time ago, there was a thing talking about like some kind of droid tales too, right?
Hey,
there was like some kind of rumor mill
Tales of the
floating around about
yeah,
that.
Droid tales.
Swamp, you never know. Tales, three episodes of Gonki, you never know.
Yeah. 3 episodes of Gonki. The other 3 is like R2D2 and C3PO or something. I'm happy with that.
And there you go.
What about if they use this animated series direction for continuing the Acolyte story?
I mean, depends who's writing it.
Yeah. It would be at the bottom of my list with even all these 4. I wouldn't be too interested in it.
I mean, even the one that's been rumored more than anything, talking about the Clone Revolution, that's something I would love to see. I know a lot of people have talked about that, and yeah, I mean,
like the story, yeah.
There's a lot of potential ideas out there for things that they can do animated. Like I said, it's just the one area I don't see them going is the Mandoverse.
Yeah, the only reason I brought up the Acolyte thing is because we never really expected to hear much about it at all, and then they did that book or comic book or whatever it was, so it kind of like, I don't know, sort of re-entered my mind as something that, hey, maybe they do have plans to do something else with that. You never know.
I mean, if it came down to that, I'd rather see them go farther back into the High Republic and give us a story out of the High Republic. If they're going to do that, maybe teach us about some of the characters that we don't know so well.
I would rather them just keep it in the comic books and leave it there.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, because I mean, I don't know enough of those stories anyway. Like I said, I've only gotten about halfway through the first book, so. But I mean,
who knows?
Exactly.
I think overall, I think we do need some animation back. I I love the animation stuff. It's kind of like stuff that I grew up on, and it's done. It was done really well. I started, and when these shows start, you're like, oh, it's a kids show, right? But then you kind of get into it, and there's a lot of storytelling and a lot of things that they fill in these animated shows, and it's a good way to kind of bridge stories and bridge eras and bridge whatever. Like,
Yeah,
so I think it's crucial to the storytelling of Star Wars, like, to have these animated series.
Yeah, I thought
Absolutely.
that was what was so awesome about all the other shows like Clone Wars, Rebels, etc. It just filled in these gaps of other things that are going on other than, the Skywalker plot storyline.
Yep.
So awesome stuff.
Absolutely. Anything else you guys want to say on this topic, or shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. Now, do we want to cover this last story? Or do we want to wait until after Skeleton Crew before we cover it?
Yeah, I think we should wait till after, right, for the Jod one. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
let's wait.
We could probably mention the Cal thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Quickly, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Quick news that came in that we found today, right before the podcast. This comes out of Star Wars stuff on Twitter, or X as you call it. Says that Lucasfilm is planning to bring Cal Kestis to a live action project. Obviously this is a rumor, but it is also sourced by Daniel Richtman, who has sourced a lot of the information that we've done today. So there might be something to this one. I know quickly what I would say on this. What do you guys think?
I mean, all along, I think we've kind of figured eventually they'd be bringing Cal Kestis into a live action role at some point down the road. So, I mean, I'm not overall like super surprised.
Yeah.
But I think if it's done right, I think he's a good actor. I mean, I think he could pull it off if there's a good story attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, too, kind of like the Keanu Reeves thing. Like, actors don't stay the same age forever. You only got so much time to get him in a live action role. So yeah, and the character's appearance is based off of him. So kind of, I feel like it's an inevitability that better sooner than later.
Actually, this is one time I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Only because, first off, I want to say, I mean, number one, Cameron Monaghan has been on board to be in something anyway. So this should come as no surprise that he would eventually be in something. But the only reason I'm going to disagree with you there is because it really comes down to where they put him in. Obviously, if it's something that's before A New Hope, then yeah, you don't have a lot of time, because obviously he's getting older. That being said, you're pulling him into the Mandoverse, you have to age him anyway. So, so you got all the time in the world, really. But yeah, I think that's really what it's going to come down to, where you're placing him.
What time period? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, no surprise to me. I would love to see it. The real question comes down to... Yep. The real question comes down to... is he with Marin? Do they bring her into it also? And actually, if it was a Mandoverse thing, I would actually be very interested in that, because if you're gonna bring him in and you don't bring Marin in with him, it almost feels like a lost opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also depends too on the third game as well, right? Like, what's going to happen with the third game?
Which is partially the hard part, because you would be giving spoilers away by doing it. So I think they do have to actually wrap this game up before they can really push him into any.
Yeah.
But if both of them are still alive at the end of that third game, and you go to the Mandoverse and she's not involved, especially when Night Sisters are a thing again, really, I'm gonna say, why didn't you think to do that?
Right. I wonder where their head is at with the third game too, like story wise. I wonder if they're gonna push it forward a little bit, or which could help with the story, the storyline. If it does become a live action thing, it could help with it as well. But
I am curious about it myself, because I mean, before the lead writer left, I'm curious as to how far he got into the story before he left, and if they even decided to keep what he had started.
Yeah.
So.
Or what if they turn the third game into a movie?
Well, I mean, I guess always a possibility, but I think there'll be some disappointed people if it was just turned into a movie.
Yeah.
Some people, absolutely. I think people really want to play that third game.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that being said, anything else you guys want to throw in on this one before we get to the next one?
No, not really, but just that maybe I would have expected to maybe see him in animated form rather than live action. I thought that would have been more likely to see first. Yeah, just somewhat unexpected to be that before the animated for me, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could understand, but like I said, he's always been excited about the possibility of being in live action, so it doesn't surprise me on that level either, though. So
yeah.
But yeah, that being said, let's move on. We've got 2 final episodes of Skeleton Crew to cover. I know I was excited for these 2 episodes. I'm pretty sure you guys were as well. That being said, before anybody else jumps in, if you have not watched these 2 episodes, we are going to be giving away spoilers. So if you haven't watched them, go watch them. Come back. Again, we can be found on Twitter, Spotify. You're not going to be at a loss for hearing our opinions on this. But definitely go watch the 2 episodes. I'm not one that enjoys giving information and ruining a good story for people. So, that being said, let's move on to episode 7 of Skeleton Crew. It was my turn to go next, or was it somebody else's?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. We're gonna get into it. It's episode 7. It's called "We're Gonna Be in So Much Trouble." It was written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. Directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and it had a runtime of 37 minutes. Let's see. It says here, Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil's parents execute their plan to send a message beyond Atten's barrier in the hopes of helping their children return safely home. The kids continue their journey home, unaware that Jod and the pirate crew are also descending on the planet. Jod, realizing the Onyx Cinder is the key to getting through the barrier, persuades Brutus to capture the ship. As the kids try to prevent the pirates from boarding, Jod takes advantage of the moment to shoot Brutus, take back his command, and take the kids hostage. Jod intercepts the parents' message, but the sight of their families galvanizes the kid to take action. With the help of SM-33, Burton reclaims command of the Onyx Cinder, and the kids make a daring break for home. But their excitement at getting safely through the barrier is interrupted by Jod, who stowed away before the ship took off. Using the lightsaber from Renaud's lair, Jod decapitates SM-33 and subdues the kids, threatening to go after their families if they don't follow his lead. It says here, at long last, the Onyx Cinder safely descends on Manhattan. Jod, posing as a Republic emissary, is escorted to the Mint. Excuse me. Where he finds more credits than he could spend in a lifetime. The kids are reunited with their parents, but can't risk telling them the truth. Excuse me. Though our heroes finally meet at home with their families and the planet under the threat from Jod and his crew, they now face their biggest challenge yet. Gentlemen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this was a pretty awesome episode, I thought.
Sorry.
Chris Ford and John Watts have been really coming through with all these episodes they've written, I would say. Like looking back, kind of each of my favorite episodes seems to be written by them, so it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know, pretty awesome episode. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed the episode myself. I mean,
yeah, it was a good, absolutely good episode.
I mean, I found myself feeling bad when SM-33 got his head chopped off, but I have to admit they've done a great job with Jude Law in this show, and he has run the gamut of good guy to bad guy to back and forth. You don't know what to expect from this guy, and whereas as much as I hate going back to the Acolyte, they were going back and forth, and you had no idea what it meant or understood why they were doing what they were doing. You could understand that with Jude Law's character, Jod Nana Wood.
Nana Wood.
Every time he made a decision that changed him from a good guy to a bad guy, back to a good guy, it all had a purpose. Which I think is the difference of this was a well-written character as opposed to poorly written characters that we've seen in other shows.
Yeah. And also this is a scoundrel, and we've kind of seen that with like even Han Solo, he'll see him kind of, he wants to do the dirty, and then he kind of fights with his do I do the right thing, do I do the wrong thing, and kind of a recurring theme for scoundrels. So I thought that was something and very well portrayed by this character. Another thing too that's revealed to us in this episode is that he is not very skilled with the lightsaber. Sure, he uses it, but not very definitely not the way a Jedi would. He's not very graceful with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's also a product of the fact that, I mean, if he was part of the Jedi Order, he was not in a position to be trained for very long. Right. So you could tell, obviously, that difference shows up.
Yeah, which we do find out a bit more in the next episode. But in this one, I really noticed when he swung at KB's head there. I was like, 33's head, not KB. No kids were harmed. So anyways, when he swung it at the head, I was like, whoa, what kind of move was that? Anyways.
Actually, that is one other thing, though. It's like when he did do that, then suddenly he's waving the lightsaber around in front of the kids. You do get that feeling that he might actually swing at one of these kids, which you don't.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously it's a kid show. No kid's gonna get hurt, but despite the fact of knowing that, because obviously kids show, kids not gonna get hurt. You still feel like, hey, he might actually go through with this. So
Yeah, he had that right amount of crazy in his eye.
yeah. So I mean, again, I think that's just the fact of having a great actor like Jude Law play the character. But but yeah, absolutely well done. I think actually the parents even played great roles in this episode, trying to get away, trying to get to that point where they could actually contact the kids. I think
that was a cool scene when they were running there.
they drop the beacon and whatever it is, and one gets stunned. They drop the beacon again, and then
Relay race.
I wasn't thinking that it was going to be Fern's mother. I thought it was Wim's dad that has it the last, but it was her. But yeah, it was a pretty cool sequence.
Yeah, and I again thought it was really well done, and I think they've done a lot of good things in this show. So
yeah, and even the way that communicator thing, the scene where it's flying up and stuff, I thought that looked pretty cool too.
Absolutely.
So the scene where I was a little saddened when Jod shot Brutus. I didn't see that coming.
I wasn't necessarily surprised by it either, though.
I wasn't surprised, but I didn't see it coming. I mean, myself, he was kind of my favorite for the Pirates, so he was he kind of looked, he was really cool looking. So when he died, I was like, oh, Brutus. And then I had a candle and just lit my candle and said to my buddy, I said to my buddy, a moment of silence, please.
And hashtag Brutus.
Hashtag Brutus.
Went outside, poured a little bit of my drink out.
I poured a little bit of my water out next to me on my floor. Then my wife yelled at me.
The hell are you doing?
No. What are you doing? Brutus died.
For the homies, of course.
For my homies. But no, these last two episodes were really well done. But this one here, like, especially when they got into the Ad-Adin, and he was, well, okay, first of all, like, Jod, you just see as the shows went on, like each episode, like his like piracy and his evil started coming out, like I did not expect the character to turn like that, like the way that he's been acting. I honestly thought at the first of this, when the show first started, I thought this was going to be some sort of, he's bad, and then all of a sudden he has like a change of mind and something, and he kind of sticks up for the kids or whatever. But that didn't even happen at all. Like, it was just total darkness. I
actually kind of like that it went that way, though.
Oh, no, I'm not saying I hated it. I thought it was like, it was done really well, and it's so weird to see Jude Law kind of act like that, because I don't expect, you don't see Jude Law playing this type of character, right? So it was really, I don't know, refreshing. I don't know, like, it just shows like he's a great actor, like, just everything down to like the smallest things with his facial expressions and everything, man. It was, and I'm sure he had a lot to say on set, as we heard from Bryce, she had high high praise for Jude Law during that episode, right? So, it's a hell of a performance.
Yeah, and also
Right.
the writing too, right? Like such a great story arc for that character throughout the series, like just in general, like
But
such good.
it's still, even as we go on to the next episode, it's still kind of only been 10% given to us. Like, we don't even know anything about this character really, other than like sort of a plot summary of what his background was when we get into the next one. But it's just, and it's still intriguing. It leaves you, like, what more are they going to do with this character, right? As it goes on.
I mean, even as I tend to think back to this episode now, it's like even one of my favorite parts was even then when the droid actually takes, when they're finally on the planet, and the droid takes Jad to the vault, and they open the vault, and you see all these credits as far as the eye can see. And he's like, "How many more vaults are there?" And the number was like in the thousands.
Yeah.
And he just walks in, and you just see him sit there, and you're like, touching some of the credits, and it almost looks like he wants to cry right there. And it's like, holy crap, he is really playing this role.
Oh yeah.
And
it's just like it just like when he's looking at the credit, like I see the picture right here when he's looking at it in our Discord, and he's just it just has that, like, to me it has that like Indiana Jones sort of look, like where what was it in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they're looking into the Ark and their eyes are just like
off of it.
It's the shine, and they're like the greed and of power and the greed of, like, you're like, it just kind of like mimicked that. I was like, holy crap, man, like it's so good. Like, just even the lighting in the show, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, the visual aesthetics of the vault and the credits like pouring through his hands were like, it looks so sharp too, right? It's like, wow.
Yeah. And it's like you look at that vault, and it's like that one vault is probably more than enough to take care of everybody in that crew for the next 50 years. And like I said, how many more vaults? 1,738 or something like that. Yeah. It's like holy crap. But there was a lot of good in this episode. So
yeah, it seems like those droids were pretty easily convinced, though, too, eh?
Oh yeah.
Are you a Republic emissary? Oh yeah, that's what I am. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you would think that they would be able to like scan the body or scan him and be like, "You're not an emissary," like, you know what I mean? Like, okay. There were some things about it you're like, yeah, I don't know if I.
But okay.
But, I mean, but okay, whatever. Let's just keep going. It just shows the writing of the show. You're just like, okay, it's just a little blimp, right? But the rest of the story, it's still going on. It's good, so whatever. Don't care. Like, it's something that somebody analytically more would probably dive more into, right? Like, what is that? Why? That's not real. Like, they would scan the body, that, blah, blah, blah. But
well, I think also being a kid's show, it's like you gotta suspend your belief a little bit. So
absolutely. Well, obviously, when they're jumping on the from ship to ship when they're trying to save their ship, you're like, oh, come on, like,
yeah, absolutely.
But you're like, okay, it's a kid's show. Get over it. Like,
Hardcore.
Absolutely.
They're remembering their parkour skills from their visit to at Akron.
I gotta go.
But yeah.
Maybe let's all parkour when we're done. Parkour at receipts. Parkour.
Yeah. All right. So
moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to the next episode. Who wants to take this one?
And you got.
I can take it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Nice cup you have there, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's somebody asked if it was a Stanley, and I'm like, no, it's a knockoff Stanley. It's off. You guys know that Temu website or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where that's from.
Hey,
my wife got it for me.
Hey, it's still pretty
works
nice.
Works really well though. Like it does.
Yeah, no wrong with that.
Yeah. Okay. Episode 8, The Real Good Guys. The Real Good Guys is written by Christopher Ford, John Watts, directed by John Watts, with a runtime of 42 minutes. The great and powerful supervisor we've heard so much about has granted an audience with Jod, Fern, and Farah. And he is not what we expected. A massive droid with one unblinking receptor eye. The supervisor has been watching over the people of Aden for many years. And I think, what's his face? Last name Fry.
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry voiced him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. The supervisor has shepherded his people, providing safety and security, but with the stab of a well-placed lightsaber, the supervisor, his legion of safety droids, and the entire power grid are all deactivated, leaving the planet defenseless against Jod and his invading crew. Luckily, hover bikes are still operational, and KB, Neil, and Wim don't hesitate to hop on and head for the tower to save their friend, Fern. It takes some convincing, but Wendy borrows a street bully's bike. Oh, Wendell. I said Wendy. Wendell. All right. Wendell borrows a street bully's bike. Thanks, Bonj Falfa, and joins in. The 4 young members of the crew have grown so much since we first met them. Neil is fearless. Getting blown off his hover bike doesn't stop him. It's true. It's funny. And he finds a new way to help the cause. KB doesn't flinch when she has to pilot the Onyx Cinder alone. She just powers up what's left of SM-33 for assistance and heads for the sky to call in reinforcements. Wim and Fern have learned a lot from each other. Wim charges into the tower to save his friend, facing danger like a true hero. And Fern, who once insisted so stubbornly on being in charge, shows true leadership and collaboration. Working together with Wim and her mom, Farah, to try to stop Jod. With the supervisor deactivated and a lightsaber-wielding Jod in command of a dangerous crew of pirates, Wim, Fern, KB, Neil, and their families fight to protect their world. Ultimately, they realize they must risk everything they know, destroy the barrier, and reveal Aden, the galaxy, in order to save it. With the barrier burnt away, the people of Aden look up to the stars to realize that they're not alone. Thanks to KB, with help from Kim and SM-33, New Republic X-Wings are ready to descend on the planet as soon as the barrier comes down, sending the pirates into retreat. The beloved homeworld of Fern, KB, and Neil is safe once again. Now part of a vast and beautiful galaxy.
Yeah,
right. Like nobody dies at the end of this. It's just like, all right.
Yeah, that first part though, with the supervisor, or maybe not first part, but you know what I mean, where they're going to the supervisor, had a real like Wizard of Oz feel.
It did, right?
Very much.
Yeah.
I will say though, it was kind of cool to see that it was smarter than it was supposed to be, so to speak. Because like suddenly, Jod is like, "Well, I'm the emissary, but you also said you're a Jedi, and the Jedi are as far as I know, the Jedi are traitors to the Republic. So which are you?
Yeah, which are you? Emissary? Are you lying about being an emissary or a Jedi?
The other, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I liked how they threw that in. The traitors, Jedis were considered traitors. So cool.
Yeah.
So that kind of pinpoints, I feel where they might feel like they were, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
it shows how they were cut off from the rest of the world at the time,
or when they were, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of good in this episode, but there was a whole lot of suspending your belief in this episode.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, which don't get me wrong.
Crash landing.
Yeah.
It was a little soft.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, kids show, like we said, so you're gonna expect a lot of that. So, I mean, it didn't bother me. It just it was a fun ride watching the episode.
Well, that's it. Like you're not really thinking. I mean, after the fact, I guess you're probably going and you're like, okay, maybe, yeah. But it's a kid show too, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, nothing's gonna happen to the kids where they're gonna die or nothing, right? So, when that ship went down, and you're like, oh, okay, nothing exploded. Probably okay.
It hit like a shed thing that kind of suspended it.
Yeah. Got caught in some wires, like it's just hanging there, like.
Yeah.
Like, really? That's
from
it?
outer space. From outer space.
Yeah. But then the big pirate ship's like coming down, and it's like you're like, oh man, that thing's done.
Yeah,
and as it's going down, like Urkel, he's like, and I'm like, oh, see you later, Urkel.
We got to see, I think it's called B-Wings, where they had the
the
laser.
B-Wings, yeah.
Yes.
We've only seen an animation previous to this, so that was pretty awesome.
I wasn't aware that they had the big lasers though, or I don't remember the big red lasers.
Yeah,
that was a Rebels thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in Rebels they used that laser.
Yeah, it was Hera actually who was the test pilot for it.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, before that, B-Wings were definitely in Return of the Jedi, but we never had anything that showed them off like that.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
Yep.
One thing, whenever they said hover bikes, did that strike you guys as a Star Wars thing at all? Because we do have those exact things in like all of Star Wars, and they're always called speeder bikes. What? Hover bikes? Come on. What happened?
Well, you know.
It kind of remind me of how we have some of the modern Star Wars calling a lightsaber a laser sword, when we specifically in like the old days have Ben Kenobi saying it's not a laser sword, it's a lightsaber.
Well,
you know.
I mean, at the same time, I mean, we could have also seen Atting in the very first Vespa crew together too, but I kind of want to leave that alone as well.
Hey, maybe this is the beginning of the mods, okay?
Well, KB's there, so
yeah.
I just think maybe they were so like secluded, they just didn't know what else to call it. So there's hover bikes. That's what they are. But to the outside world, they're speeder bikes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think. Let's see. I think the one surprise was when the X-Wings came in. Actually, I'm not overly surprised, but I thought this might have been one of the times they might have brought in Carson Teva again, just for the sake of it, but they didn't.
Yep.
I mean, I think part of me is almost actually happy about that, because I feel like he's everywhere. But
it's true.
Or it could have been an opportunity to bring in, one of the other directors that were the X-Wing pilots in the Mando series too, right?
Yeah, point.
Here comes Dave Filoni.
Yeah. But
yeah, or even they could have used it to do some other throwback too, that something else from Rebels or something.
Well, part of me wanted to see Zeb too, right? A little part of me wanted to see Zeb, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't figure it was going to happen, but a little piece of me was like, I just want to see Zeb again.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think the only issue that I had with this episode, and it's a nitpick, but I have to say it, is just how abruptly it ended.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was just over. I mean, he ended it with Jod looking out a window. And it's like, okay. I mean, I get what's probably about to happen to him.
Yeah.
But you just ended the show. So, I mean, for all we know, does he find a way to get away? Does he get arrested? Is he in custody? What's up with the guy? That's all it is for me. It's like,
yeah.
But that being said, it's a good episode. I had a lot of fun. I was happy that we did get to finally hear about Jod's past. I know we're kind of working into that story a little bit, but basically he speaks of being trained. He speaks of being there when his master was shot down. Which we also find out that he had a female master. So it kind of leads me to wonder, master.
There's all the fanboys all over the internet have probably been going through all the files and stuff, trying to find him, to find her.
Well, I mean, I think obviously people are going to be curious because, I mean, you've opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know there's one or two that couldn't have been his teacher, but we don't know about the rest of them. Who could it have possibly been?
I mean, I feel like they're just going to. I feel like it's not an actual, like, she's not there. Like, I feel like they're going to write it in at some point, right? They might introduce.
Yeah, 'cause there's so many like random Jedi that we were never introduced.
I would love to see them create a new character for it.
Kind of like Keller and Beck, right? Like they kind of brought him out of thin air and gave him a story and stuff. Same type of idea there.
And I would have no problem with it.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure.
But, I mean, I feel like this is a character that we need to see more of.
Jod?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we will.
I mean, whether they do make a Skeleton Crew season 2 or not, we
honestly,
need to see him somewhere.
My theory, like, I feel like it's, he gets arrested by the New Republic, and then that leaves his story open for, whatever the Mandoverse has going on right now, right? And I think this might be I don't feel like there's going to be a season 2 Skeleton. It doesn't, like, what more do you push forward with the kids? It's like I feel it is like it felt limited, right? The way they ended it too. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like, I know they left like threads here and there possibly for something to go forward, but it doesn't overall. I didn't get you don't get anything about possibly pushing forward to a second season. I think it was more of a development for Jod's character and having Jod kind of, okay, so he's going to splinter off into the Mandoverse. We're going to leave the rest of it behind, yada, yada, right? That's what
I don't know. I feel like on that note, like Wim kind of like shows sympathy to him towards the end when they're kind of leaving the chamber, and he's like, Jod, like, come with us, and what he's kind of conflicted, right? I feel like there is a little bit of a breadcrumb there that maybe we'll see something with him and Jod leaving on a adventure. Maybe Kim is involved. I don't know. I could see something like that.
Yeah, but to me, that feels like that'd be something that would be like years down the, not something that's gonna happen like now. And even then, they were saying if they did happen to get a second season, they're going to push it years ahead because they're going to account for the kids growing up, because obviously this show was made a couple years ago before the strikes happened. So time has passed. So yeah, I think time would have to pass, but I don't think enough time has passed.
I just don't think it's needed.
Neither honestly. Do I. I mean, if we never saw these kids again, it was a good story. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's move on. But Jod, I feel like is a character I still want to know more about.
Well, and obviously having Jude Law in the role, I mean, this is not going to be the end of Jod at all. Like, there's going to be more to his story. So,
especially if he wants to play the role, can he play the role?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I want to, like, I hope that this show is like enjoyable for kids, and if so, I feel like it is needed. Something to kind of bring in the next generation, enjoyment of something that we all enjoy so much, right?
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think we do need to. There does need to be Star Wars stuff that is aimed at a younger audience as well. I mean, but I think that's the beauty of what this universe has become, is that I think you can make shows for kids that will be a good story. You can make shows for people like us that have been following Star Wars forever and still make good stories. And as time goes on, you can continue to make stories for all ages that will potentially be good. But I still think this particular story is over. It doesn't mean that we can't find some other story that's going to work towards a younger audience.
You never know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that is true.
You never know, right?
Definitely could be something else.
It's
Parkour Girl and Whim. That could be the next one.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to say on this, or?
Okay. Well, when the series, I'm going to spoil like Wendell. So I want to point out that by the end of the series, I didn't dislike him as much as I did in the first of the series. By the end of it, especially when they're on their hover bikes, and they jump the that little jump over that ravine thing. Yeah. He shows a little like emotion there.
Yeah. When he actually did, he's like, yeah,
I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's having fun. Like, look at him.
Yeah, he's starting to realize all this stuff that he thought was so important isn't at all, right?
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Great.
Character building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was nice to see, I guess. So by the end of it, I didn't hate him as much. Not hate. I just didn't really connect with him in the beginning. It was he just seemed like I don't know.
I did like that part where Women's sitting there talking to him. He's like, "Well, we have to be able to let loose the ship." And he's like, "Well, you're talking to a level 7 supervisor."
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, bringing the nerd out. You're talking to a level 7 security.
Yeah, we did also have that heartwarming moment when we were rejoined by 33, and apparently Snowball is the name of the creature.
Ah, Snowball.
The little mouse that was in his eye or whatever.
Yeah. So 33 and Snowball, they survived.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise to see him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. All right.
No Brutus though. No Brutus back. Brutus didn't come back. Sorry, Andy.
I'll be all right.
The whole show is ruined.
I went quiet when it happened.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, anything else you guys want to say on the topic, or?
I don't know. I'm good.
Okay, and do we want to go into that story, or do we feel like we've covered it here already?
I think it was more of like what's it called? Speculation of his history.
His origin, yeah.
Yeah, we can get into it. We can go into it. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Anybody want to read it, or?
Yeah, I'll grab it. Just one sec. All right. Oops. Stupid ad popped up in front of it. Cool.
Well, we
All
had...
right, Star Wars. Oh,
nope.
What were you saying?
Nope. I didn't mean to say anything.
It was just a sneeze.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew just brilliantly revealed Jod Nanawood's origins. Probably.
Probably.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew series continues to be one of the best things Disney Star Wars has produced. And last night had an excellent penultimate episode before its season series finale. Ahead of this episode, Jude Law said we would learn a lot about his character, Pirate Jod Nanawood, and many thought that would be a flashback episode about his origin story. That did not happen, but if you were paying attention, that is kind of exactly what happened. What was on display here was a look at how Jod must have been molded into a slippery force-using pirate he is today. The idea here is that he was a youngling that escaped the Order 66 purge of almost all Jedi crusade led by Anakin Skywalker on orders from Palpatine. Did you recognize some moments from Revenge of the Sith? You should have, namely this famous scene where Anakin enters the room of younglings and pops out his lightsaber. There's a cut then, but we know he butchers them all. That sounds like projection. Oh, wait, am I missing something here? Hold on. It's like broken up the article. We see the shot here with the kids, and then it was Jod. It's what Jod says to them, which seemed especially harsh in that moment. Poor boy, what exactly are you going to do? You're all weak, sheltered, spoiled children. That sounds like a projection to me, and either what was said to Jod or what he felt in that moment going up against the clone trooper, or maybe even Anakin. It would explain why he has force powers now, unless that too is a con. The timeline mostly adds up. Order 66 took place in 19 BBY. Skeleton Crew takes place in 9 ABY. That's 28 years from Order 66. And while I'm not sure how long you can still be considered a youngling, 9, 10, or how old Jod is supposed to be exactly. Jude Law is 52, but can play younger. And I can buy this working. But frequent Star Wars show watchers may remember Reva and Obi-Wan Kenobi show had essentially the same origin story, a surviving youngling who eventually became an Inquisitor. Then in the gaming world, Cal Kestis was a Padawan who also survived Order 66. I suppose this could be the third branch of this path. Kestis became a Jedi. Reva became an Empire-employed Inquisitor, while Jod just a freelance scoundrel pirate who is kind of evil but mainly just greedy. So is this right? Yeah, it says we'll see if we get answers in the finale. So I guess this was actually before the final episode, but yeah. So yeah, we didn't actually end up seeing in the finale, but I think the original YouTube video that we had linked there was also referring to something from the Clone Wars show. Did you guys watch that video? Andy, you're the one that shared that video. Did you watch that video?
Uh,
The original one that was in the Discord that said Job might have been a Jedi, and I kind of had a picture of something from the Clone Wars on the front of it.
hold on here. I don't remember if I did or not.
Oh.
I know I didn't get a chance to see it, but I mean, I think this pretty much speaks well to it. I mean, at this point, I mean, we still don't know enough, but again, we do know he was part of Order 66. Again,
Right.
we just don't know who his master was. We don't know. I mean, there's a lot we don't know. I mean, apparently he can use a lightsaber, but did he have one? Do we know anything about his stories when he was younger? Do we know anything at all? I mean, how did he get away? What made him become the scoundrel he is? What made him become a pirate? There's a lot we could do with this character. I mean, not just where is he going to end up. It would be.
I would say we know why he didn't want to be a Jedi is they were all getting slaughtered.
Which is understandable. I mean, I don't know if this would necessarily work possibly in future Tales of the Jedi, but who knows? I mean, again, Tales of the Scoundrels. I mean, obviously we have so many possibilities when you put Tales of the. I mean, we could always get this story somewhere along the way, and I'd be interested in it.
Yeah. Even if we didn't get the story, we could get like a nod to it. Like, say we have the story of X Jedi, and they're one of the Jedi in the story has a Padawan named Jod. Then we can make the connection or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing we could work with. I mean, even as we did Tales of the Jedi with Ahsoka Tano, I mean, we were at a point where even in one of her stories, we were able to see Kanan from Rebels in there as a child, as a Padawan himself. I mean, even something where he could just pop up in somebody else's story, just so you see he was there. Maybe you never know what kind of information you could pull from that.
That was wasn't the Kanan one, wasn't that from Bad Batch?
No, that was the story of how Depa Billaba died when Order 66 hit. The one I'm thinking of is, like I said, I believe it was second episode of Ahsoka's Tales of the Jedi when Anakin was training her to be able to fight against blaster bolts, and all the clones were around her and constantly shooting her with stun bolts, and she had to stop them. But in the beginning of the episode, they were going through the quote unquote Jedi way of training for that, and Anakin didn't like it, but Ahsoka aced it. And I remember Kanan was there and he was clapping because he saw her do so well.
Oh, right, okay. So I just want to point out what the theory behind the video is. So they're saying that Jod is actually Petro from the Clone Wars, who was with Ahsoka and the other younglings, who took on Hondo and then later helped Hondo against Grievous. They think maybe there's a chance that when Order 66 went down, he went to Hondo for help, and he's a pirate now because of it.
Well, yeah, that could that tracks. That tracks.
It's a potential story. I could see it. I mean, but I would. I don't know if I'm gonna 100% buy that story at this point.
No, I mean that's just obviously a theory.
But yeah, obvious speculation there.
I mean, the theory could be that
look like Hondo's pirates too.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but I mean, the theory could be like Order 66 goes down, him and his master get separated, right? And then she finds him again, but then not long later she gets killed and he escapes again, and the only contact that he knows is Hondo, so he finds Hondo somehow and then or what. Who knows? It's a theory, right? Like,
yeah, as far as theories go, that does sound pretty legit to me.
That's a possibility. I can't rule it out. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Nope.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the gist of that video that was posted in there. So,
because yeah, even I can't remember his name, but that pirate that we've seen in Mando that's in Skeleton Crew,
Vane.
Yeah, he looks just like all the pirates that Hondo employs. Like they all are that species, same as him.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
I mean, to me, it just leads back to the idea. To me, it just continues to lead to the idea that I want to know more. That's all. Is there anything else you guys want to throw in on this one, or?
Actually, now that we're talking about Hondo, that would be another good one for Tales. Tales of whatever scoundrel pirate something with Hondo.
I think that would be great. We have one with Jod here and Hondo. That'd be a great Tales of the Pirates or
something like that.
All right. Anything else we want to cover before? It's getting late here, so I know you guys don't.
Yeah, I mean we're 2.5 hours in. This has been a lot of topics we've covered today. It feels like a natural time to end it.
All right, that sounds fair. I guess I'm gonna go back and I know I said everything at the beginning, but I'm gonna say it here again at the end. Hey, I want to thank you all for joining us for this one. Obviously, yeah, if you get a chance, definitely follow us on YouTube, on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place, and we're trying to definitely keep this moving and keep it rolling, and we'll have this episode up this week on YouTube and Spotify, and we'll be ready to go again with our next episode as we start working slowly towards Star Wars Celebration and leading into Andor. But if you get a chance, definitely subscribe, likes, comments.
Yeah, definitely comment, guys. We definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you like? What do you not like? Tell us everything. We would love to hear from you. So
absolutely. And that being said, we'll wrap this thing up. Swampgrass, where can we find you, my friend?
So I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/swampgrass420. And yeah, I'm usually on there doing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes content, a little bit of Marvel Strike Force content, a little bit of other variety content lately. Potentially going to get into some Marvel Rivals in the future, hopefully. And yeah, it's good times all around. So come on down and hang out.
Sounds great. Andy Beads, how about you, my friend?
Twitch.tv/Andy_Beads. Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find me streaming Marvel Snap. And Friday nights, we're going to get the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order walkthrough that I started through, I don't know, 10 months ago. And we kind of got held up and kind of got put on the back burner for a while, but I'm going to be hopefully start streaming that Friday night.
Is that going to be here on this channel?
On
or
our
on
channel
your...
here, yes.
Okay.
So on our channel here, TSC_SW podcast channel. We'll be doing that live, and then I'll be uploading it to YouTube after. So hopefully that starts soon.
Excellent. And I am Darth Eldor. You can find me also twitch.tv/Darth_Eldor. I do play Galaxy of Heroes. Also going to be getting into Hearthstone and a couple other things. And don't know of any new Star Wars games coming out in the near future, but anytime a new Star Wars game comes out, I'll definitely be there playing it. And definitely looking forward to talking with everybody that wants to stop in and chat. And that being said, we're here. It's season 3. We're 2 episodes in. We're looking forward to getting through this season and doing some great things and having a good time with the rest of you. And hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do. And we'll see you soon. And the Force should be with you always.